What's going on, retro gaming fans, and welcome back to another episode of Rehab Gaming. So what we have here is another sad NES game cartridge that has been written on with magic marker. Now, I know we already did a video like this for a NES cart that had writing on the front of the game case. Well, unfortunately, we have another NES cart that has writing on the back, and this looks like it's a different type of ink. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all of this cleaned off using some 91% isopropyl alcohol and see if that same trick works with all different kinds of magic markers. Stay tuned and we'll get right at it. For starters, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and crack this game open. We're going to be using a 3.8mm game bit screwdriver in order to get the 3 screws out that secure both halves of the game case together. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the main board inside and also make sure it doesn't have any issues that might cause us trouble down the road. Alrighty, go ahead and dump these 2 screws out. Set them off to the side. Separate the game casing. Oh, and look what we got here. So, looks like rolling around inside of this game cart was one of these little plastic posts, and I can see exactly where it came from. Right up there. So unfortunately, it looks like one of those support posts broke off at some point in time and was rattling around in here. It's a good idea to get these out, that way they're not causing any issues with your game cartridge later on down the road by scratching up pins or ruining traces or anything like that. And it looks like this main board is actually in pretty decent condition. And also looks like an authentic Konami Nintendo game board. So we'll go ahead and set that off to the side, and we'll pay attention to the front and the back side of the carts. So thankfully, whoever had this game didn't write on the front side with magic marker, but they did write on the back side, and it's a lot more extensive. So we're going to go ahead and grab some 91% isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, and we're going to get to work. That was almost 15 minutes straight of scrubbing with isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, and not all of the ink is actually gone from this cartridge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up these little pooling marks where the rubbing alcohol made the ink pool up. Try and get those up off of the back of the case. And as you can tell, there's a little bit of white residue there on the back of the cartridge where I was scrubbing on it. That's where I started taking up the protective coating from the plastic. And as you can see in these areas where I was scrubbing a little more aggressively, it's actually wore it flat a little bit and taken some of the stippling out. So what that tells me is that the ink has permeated the plastic extremely deep, and in order to get it out, you're actually removing a little bit of the plastic material from the case. And I just noticed a little spot up here that I'm going to go ahead and get off. So, just like before, the stippling in the plastic helps hold the ink a little better, and it looks like red magic marker is a lot harder to get off of plastic than the black magic marker. Now, this could be one of two reasons why. One, it could be because of a different chemical compound makeup for that specific marker, since we don't have a brand. We don't know what type of chemical compounds were used in the ink. Or two, because of the high contrast between the red and the gray, it's a lot easier to see that red magic marker against that gray background. And the other thing is that you notice the alcohol started to leach down in here because we had a squiggly line that went up, over, and then over here, and it was really close to this label. And some of that ink dyed that label red. And when I first started on it, it actually looked like somebody just dumped a bunch of Kool-Aid all over the back of this game cartridge. So, unfortunately, this is about as good as it's going to get with just isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. Now, I can go back with a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, but that's like taking fine grit sandpaper and just scouring the back of the game case and just removing plastic, to be honest with you. So, yes, does IPA help with most magic marker inks? Definitely. It helps pull it up, but unfortunately, it can't always be your go-to fix in order to get magic marker off of these old plastic game cartridges. And also, I don't know how long the ink's been sitting there, so there's a possibility that over time the ink has just worked its way down into the plastic beyond the protective layer, and you can kind of see a little bit of a difference. Right up here, you have this little squiggly area here that's a slightly different shade of gray than the gray down here where we actually did a little more scrubbing. So that also shows you that I was taking off quite a bit of this protective layer on the back of this cartridge just to try and get that ink up. So if this goes to show more than anything, is it possible to clean up, ink from plastic game carts? Yeah. If you have enough patience, you have enough materials on hand to kind of progress through the steps of beyond isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, yeah, you can get it done. Is it going to look fantastic after you're done? Maybe not, because once you start rubbing off this stippling, that's a key characteristic of a Nintendo game cartridge. As soon as that stippling starts to get rubbed off, you're going to have to do the entire thing like that. And is it worth it in the end? Well, we'll let you decide. Spread the word. Tell people don't put ink on the back of your game cartridge or the front of your game cartridge or whatever, because it's just going to be a pain just try and get it off later on. Other than that, I'd like to thank you for stopping by and joining us as we tried to get this red ink off the back of this cartridge. If you like this video, go ahead and smack that subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. If you smack the subscribe button, you'll be notified every single time that we drop an episode, especially if you decide to enable all notifications with that bell notification. So without further ado, thank you for joining us today, and we hope you have a wonderful day.